Antlers, assumptions, and artillery. The knock on an apartment door seems innocuous, almost boring, but whoever's on the other side has their finger on the peephole and a calm but innocuous axiom presence. She's still paranoid and grabs a hidden laser pistol just in case. She slowly opens the door partway and sees a very large man. She wants to say tread at first, but him turning his head to the side somewhat reveals the ears of an alfar and a tracery of the axiom tattoos on the side of his neck. The uniform she recognizes, though, the on-duty dark blue of an undaunted soldier. The whites with the stylish coats and numerous medals only came out on formal occasions. "Can I help you?" Jasir asks. "Good afternoon, ma'am. I am Master Corporal Jaunt, here to give you your single and fair warning. Cease pursuing the Clatterhoofs. They are under the protection of the Undaunted, and if we think you're going to do something, we will take action. I don't think I need to explain how poor for the health such a thing can be." The Alfar says. "What? How dare you?" "We traced a threat against Miss Clatterhoofs to your communicator. It was sent 3 hours ago," he says calmly. "I just got back from work. Private stream, if you would?" Corporal Jaunt asks, and a folder is held up to him from below. Jesser shifts her position and sees a tiny child in an oversized on-duty uniform. It looked like if he sat down, the collar would rise up and push his clearly too large hat off. "Thank you," it says here, ma'am, and has the designs of your office building. "Your fellow employees at your office have not had the opportunity to take your communicator anywhere, meaning that you've either been hacked, and I'll need your communicator for your own protection and that of Miss Clatterhoofs, or you're trying to lie to me, which I don't care for, but don't care about either. The message is the same. Leave the Clatterhoofs alone or actions will be taken against you. If you continue harassment, there will be legal repercussions. If you actually approach them, we will open fire to defend them. And if I'm out for a walk and they're suddenly there, say exiting a building right in front of me, look away and do not make any sudden movements?" Private Stream asks, and she looks down at the tiny boy. "Why is there a child here?" "Private Stream is a trusted and valued member of the Undaunted," Corporal Jaunt says, neglecting to tell her that this Private Stream in question was actually his older half-brother. "You might want to send him away because I have a few things to say that aren't exactly appropriate in front of a child." Jasir snaps at him, unlocking her door and fully opening it. She tosses the laser pistol onto her easy chair and plants her fists on her hips in a fury. "Ma'am," Private Stream says, lifting up his hat and revealing that Mother Jaunt's first husband was a Matak. "I see. Then in that case, what the hell is wrong with you? Why are you protecting a mass murderess? Knife Top, Crusher, Flayer, and all the rest of the Psychotic Five have murdered more women than some wars. Why are they getting protection? People need to be protected from them." "Ma'am," Private Stream says, holding out a folder to her. Inside is a series of paper that are almost entirely blacked out and redacted. "Persona nails? What?" "As you can read there, ma'am, a survivor of the Dark Cabal pirates decided to go for quality over quantity and reinvented their terrible techniques. Knife Top was one of her masterworks. A fake person in the body of a real one. Knife Top is not only dead, but undone. The body she used to use is free and under our protection." "You expect me to believe this nonsense? The Dark Cabal pirates were wiped out to the last in a slave revolt. The only survivors were the slaves themselves, and anyone that says otherwise is just... Jaunt's stoic expression causes her to trail off. She looks into the folder again. "It says here you not only disposed of the leader of the syndicate, but used her body double to strip it of its assets?" "We did. And let's just say you have. What now? Why wasn't this announced? Why haven't you given people closure? You live on this world. You know it. What happens when a powerful gang leader suddenly vanishes? A gang war. That's right. Now there's also the victims to consider. What do we do with innocent people who can only be recognized as monsters? Knife Top is dead and gone. Clatterhoofs is the first victim, the girl whose body she stole," Jaunt says. "But you used to be on an anti-gang task force 10 years ago. You were captured and your family systematically vanished. Then their remains were found in the septic system with you being Gianodel begins to explain and she punches him full in the face. He slowly turns back and wipes a bit of blood off. Swipe broke you, used knife top as her weapon of murder and torture, and taught you to fear. She needs to pay. Jasir hisses, she's dead. All that's left? Gianodel begins again and Jasir snaps. First victim? Whatever. She needs to die, to suffer. I don't care that she was innocent. No one that's soaked in blood is innocent. If not the perpetrator, then as the accessory to countless brutal murders. It was that woman's antlers that impaled my daughter. She walked out of the room trailing the literal guts of my father. She screams at him before suddenly collapsing into sobs in his arms. Hello? Dr. Mariko? We just found a big old landmine of unresolved trauma. Do you have some time? I think this lady needs to talk to someone with your skills. Private Stream says over his communicator. Lopen woman, former Special Forces. Severe trauma thanks to Dark Cabal fuckery. The holographic circus had decided to compete with the fireworks, drones, and holograms in the sky, and after news had gotten around that the animals were in fact real, and it was a live feed from inside Circus, and it drew area all sorts of attention. Coupled with some truly exotic animals, the circus eventually won out. Or rather, the circus was still going after the display in the skies was finished. Apparently, to say that there was a full barn of animals is to understate to the extreme. Bjorn had personally counted at least 100 different species from all different general xenotypes. Insects, mammals, reptiles, piscines, amphibians, serpents of all kinds, birds beyond counting, and several strange creatures that appeared to be plant or even axiom-based. So, that's 144 distinct species now. How many are chipped? He asked Holly, who had been paying attention to something else. About 80? A couple are moving too much for me to check, which means that about 60 of them are simply trained and not under some kind of control. That's impressive, Martha says. Do you think they're easy on the pipes, Miss Sanitation Engineer? Salas asked cheekily. Nope, not in the slightest, Martha states in an amused tone. I'd like to take this moment to thank every ancestor of every species and world for the gift that is drone technology. No kidding, Bjorn notes even as he gets a text on his communicator. He checks it, grins and pockets it. Good news? Holly asks. Yeah, some potential problems have been disarmed. I'm going to be a little paranoid for a bit though, just in case, he says, and Holly gives him a concerned look. What happened? Nothing to worry about. It's already dealt with, he assures her. She turns fully to him and he can see that she's already figured it out. Is this about that text Mom got that had her worried? She asks, and his lack of an answer is all the confirmation she needs. We're staying. It's been dealt with, but for my own paranoia, I'll be a little more alert for the next week, he says, and she looks him in the eyes. Was anyone hurt? No, he answers, and she sighs in relief. Good. There's been too much pain for it all, Holly says, and Bjorn pulls her close. You're a good woman. Far too many people would want to lash out, he says. Well, Holly says before looking around. The ears of Irma, Lils, Salas, and Vera are pointedly turned their way, but they're respectively looking away. Do you think I should tell them? I think it's entirely up to you, but if you're planning on it, I'll draw up the contract so they're legally required to stay quiet. We won't, Irma begins as she starts to turn. I know, standard procedure. I'd have to get my own mother to sign if she heard about this, Bjorn promises. He did, Martha states. You're at most an in-law. Bjorn answers and she sticks her tongue out at him, and the girls giggle as he rolls his eyes. They all turn back to the show, but despite his assurances, Bjorn is still deep in thought. Would someone be so foolish as to actually try something? Will he have to hurt someone? Killing an enemy combatant is one thing. Killing someone trying to avenge a lost loved one is different. He will. Holly is safe with him, and if he has to kill enough people to triple the tundra worm population, he will. But he doesn't want to. All right, so how do I start this? Holly asks. The party is over and now they're safely in the undaunted arcology. Bjorn and Holly's apartment, to be specific. However you so choose. They've signed the NDAs, so any protest as a soldier is gone. As your man, though, I can tell them for you. Bjorn assures her, and she sighs. No, you came after it all. You don't have to, Holly, Martha assures her. No, I do. There's some danger to being around me. Bjorn's fine. He's more dangerous than that. But you girls deserve to know. Holly says, looking over the table to where Vera, Irma, Lils, and Silas are sitting. I don't think it could be that bad. I mean, you're strong, but you're so friendly. You're competitive at worst, and it's usually more playful. What could possibly be wrong about you? Vera asks. It could easily be something done to her, Irma states. It was. This isn't easy, Holly says, and Bjorn gives her a little squeeze. I am 30 years old. Young, yes, but half of those years were stolen from me. By who? How? Lils asks, and Holly gives Bjorn a bit of a nudge. Her name is redacted at the moment. There are still complications. In summary, a survivor of the Dark Cabal, and not a rebelling slave, managed to perfect her method of mind control. She focused on a small circle of elite enforcers to control a larger amount of women through fear. Holly was one of the controlled enforcers, Bjorn explains in a clipped professional tone. It was like coming out of a dream. One minute my biggest worries are things like my test results, keeping up with gossip in the latest Shimmerdown song and fashion line. Then I wake up and I'm huge, so strong that everything is breaking around me, and my antlers have not only grown out, but have been sharpened, Holly says as she looks up and away. It was so strange. I was told so many things had happened, but I remembered nothing. At first. The memories came back later? Irma asks. Yes, they go from incredibly boring to absolutely horrible. The smell of blood is bad, especially when you get different types competing for awfulness. But the feeling is worse. It's always the same. No matter what the blood is made of, it thickens and sticks and leaves you feeling worse than dirty. You feel tainted, Holly says. Is Bjorn here for our protection? Is there a chance you might suddenly go back to that? And Lils asks, trailing off at the end with wide eyes. No, the thing used to control her was safely extracted, studied in case it had any nasty surprises, and then destroyed. The Kutha that made up the device has actually been melted down and then worked into decorative paperweights that are on a frontier world by the name of Vuxa 5. Bjorn explains, and Martha's jaw drops a little before she holds up a finger. Hold on a moment. You kept track of where the remains of that thing was sent? Martha asks him. Not on purpose. Some private streams like to be reassuring in the weirdest ways. Random bits of oddly comforting trivia, such as the fact that the persona nails have been remade into paperweights that will set up emergency shields if someone tries to attack some administrators working for us. Bjorn explains before shrugging. That, Holly begins before pausing. Really? Paperweights? Really, paperweights? Bjorn says before smiling. Think of it like a final slap in the face to that Dark Cabal bitch. Her greatest tools of misery and pain now serve only to offer convenience and safety. Holly smiles herself before turning back to the other girls. Anyways, I'm here on Zalwar because I was the body that a mass-murdering criminal enforcer used for 15 years. I have a bad reputation back home. Even with my antlers normal again, I still get recognized and, well, people want to hurt you for what a monster did. Lil says, even as Silas rises up and walks around the table to hug Holly. The rest shortly follow, and Bjorn offers a thumbs up, even as Martha takes a picture of the entire scene.